All right, folks, the conservative Wall Street Journal just dropped a bombshell report concluding that Donald Trump and his family have just raked in $5 billion off their latest corrupt crypto venture, which is the latest in a series of staggering reports about how Trump has made billions of dollars off the American people by corruptly monetizing the presidency. The corruption is here, it is unprecedented, and we have to give a shit. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, so as a reminder, the Wall Street Journal is a sister publication of Fox News. They are legendarily conservative, and yet they publish this. Trump family amasses $5 billion fortune after crypto launch. The WLFI token trades above its previous value, confirming a paper windfall for the president and his sons. The Trump family notched as much as $5 billion in paper wealth on Monday after its flagship crypto venture opened to trading of a new digital currency. The launch is akin to an initial public offering in which the cryptocurrency, called WLFI, can now be bought and sold on the open market like a listed company's shares. Beforehand, people who had previously bought WLFI from the Trump venture, World Liberty Financial, hadn't been able to exchange their tokens. The trading debut was likely the biggest financial success for the president's family since the inauguration. The Trump family, including Donald Trump himself, holds just under a quarter of all WLFI tokens in existence. Trump's three sons are co-founders of World Liberty, while it names Trump a co-founder emeritus. So I want to be very clear. This would be bad enough, especially in the context of the Biden crime family, right, which we heard about all these years, the Republicans. Joe Biden is enriching himself off the presidency. Hunter Biden has made a couple $1 million off the Burisma Energy Trading Board. Well, if that's the standard, if we're going to give the most maximal interpretation of the Republicans' claims against President Biden and the Biden family, this makes that look like chump change. Trump and his sons are directly implicated in this monetization of the presidency. This is orders of magnitude egregiously more corrupt, financially and otherwise, than anything that you could attribute to the Bidens. I digress. World Liberty says founders and team members' tokens remained, quote, locked, meaning they still can't sell them. But the trading launch now puts a real-world valuation on their holdings, which previously were valued based on private sales. WLFI is likely now the Trump's most valuable asset, exceeding their decades-old property portfolio. While Trump's family has continued to pursue property deals around the world since taking office, again, major conflict of interest, the fast-moving crypto business has held the biggest early impact. Trump helped launch World Liberty a year ago while campaigning, saying it would help make America great again, this time with crypto. World Liberty's rise this year came as the president drove the growth of the crypto industry from the White House, reining in regulation and touting the potential of private digital currencies to invigorate the U.S. economy. So again, note the thing. Trump is financially benefiting from his role as the president, where he is ultimately the chief regulator of the crypto industry. So he acts in his official capacity to make it easier for him and his family to personally enrich themselves, not to the tune of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions or tens of millions, but to the tune of billions. Staggering. In advance of the LFI trading debut, World Liberty this summer took over a publicly listed firm and raised $750 million in cash from investors to buy the cryptocurrency. That deal, an unusually circular transaction with the same party as buyer and seller, stands to earn the Trumps around $500 million since they keep up to 3/4 of the revenues of the sale of the tokens, the Wall Street Journal previously reported. Trading in WLFI exploded on crypto exchanges early Monday, with about $1 billion in the tokens changing hands within the hour, according to the data site CoinMarketCap. On Binance, the most popular exchange, WLFI started trading around 30 cents before slipping through the day towards 20 cents, in a similar range to prices implied by futures contracts tied to the cryptocurrency that traded there last week. At the higher price, the Trump stake is valued at more than $6 billion. Adding in stakes in other crypto businesses makes the Trump's family overall crypto hoard even larger. Trump-related entities control around 80% of $Trump, the so-called meme coin, worth several billion dollars. A Trump-owned trust holds just over half of the publicly listed Trump Media, which runs his True Social platform and buys and holds cryptocurrencies. That stake is worth $2.5 billion. To be sure, cashing in this newly created wealth may prove difficult, as even a small amount of selling of cryptocurrencies can trigger prices to drop. Monday's prices of WLFI are a huge premium on the 1.5 cents that investors are first paid last year to buy the token from World Liberty itself, offering them an opportunity to make a big profit. Where Liberty said those early buyers would be able to initially trade only a fifth of their holdings. Cryptocurrencies are notoriously volatile, meaning the exact size of the Trump fortune could fluctuate wildly. The $ Trump meme coin, launched in January, initially soared and then collapsed. Critics of World Liberty said that it's a potential vehicle to influence the Trump family and that its growth is spurred by partners and investors who are seeking help from the White House. For instance, the market for a dollar-pegged stablecoin issued by World Liberty, called USD1, has been largely propped up by Binance, whose convicted founder has been seeking a presidential pardon, the journal previously reported. Again, an absolutely blatant vehicle for corruption, not just domestically, but abroad, because there's a lot of opacity surrounding cryptocurrency and its accountability. So what's to stop Vladimir Putin of Russia or other foreign adversaries of the United States attempting to bribe Donald Trump? Especially now that he has the benefit of the Trump v. United States presidential immunity decision, which means even if he were bribed for a presidential pardon, he would be entitled to absolute criminal immunity for it. What would stop him? Now, if you're worried about that, as I'm sure many of you are because you're sane, have no fear. Because White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, she responded. She said, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said, quote, "Neither the president nor his family have ever engaged or will ever engage in conflicts of interest." Oh, good. Oh, my God. Oh, if you say so, if you say that you're not going to do anything, oh, my bad. Shit. I was worried for absolutely no reason. But now that you assure us that this corrupt criminal president isn't engaging in crime and would never do so, just trust me, bro. Of course, that makes my anxiety go away. No, of course, it's patently absurd. We have every reason, given Trump's rhetoric and record, to believe that he will egregiously behave in corrupt ways to enrich himself and his family. So, Zach Witkoff, World Liberty's chief executive and son of presidential envoy Steve Witkoff, said last week that it is strictly a private business and doesn't get involved in politics, though, quote, clearly, Donald Trump is the greatest president of all time. What a fucking loser. World Liberty has said that its cryptocurrency's long-term value will be supported by its plans to become a serious industry player. In addition to issuing USD1, the venture plans to roll out a mobile app. Quote, "This isn't some meme coin," tweeted Don Jr. just after the launch. So yeah, there's that. I mean, just staggeringly crazy corrupt. But then we need to put it in context because CREW, which is a nonprofit ethics watchdog, stands for the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. They have a good opinion piece about where Trump is with respect to his corruption. The brazenness of Trump's profiteering is a billion-dollar scandal hiding in plain sight. After leaving office in 2001, President Clinton signed a, quote, record book deal for $10 million. The amount of money Trump has made has no historical equivalent. So let's take a look. Donald Trump and his family are profiting off the presidency. That's something we've heard over and over since Trump's first inauguration in January 2017. But I've heard it more than most. My organization, CREW, has spent countless hours tracking and calculating these profits. At the end of Trump's first term, CREW calculated that Trump made more than $1.6 billion in outside revenue and income during his first 4 years as president. Recently, however, the New Yorker staff writer David Kirkpatrick tallied up a new number encompassing ventures from both Trump's first and second terms, which were only like 7 months into his second term, right? $3.4 billion. That is an astounding amount without any historical equivalent. But at the same time, it's a new Trump normal. Of course he's using his public office for private gain. Of course he's launched another business venture. Don't presidents get rich all the time? What's the big deal? The fact is, while this might feel like a new normal, nothing about it is normal, and it's a real problem worthy of the American people's attention. Indeed, anything that smacks of presidential profiteering has always struck the American public as a big deal, regardless of the person or party in office. We want to trust that our leaders are working in our best interests, not using a position of trust to line their own pockets. After leaving office in 2001, President Clinton signed a record book deal for $10 million, which would amount to approximately $18.5 million today. Hillary Clinton received an $8 million advance for her book about being the First Lady, which drew particular conflicts of interest concerns as she had just been elected to the Senate. As a New York Times editorial from the time remarked, quote, "It would have been far better if she'd avoided this entanglement. As she, above all others, should know, not every deal that is legally permissible is smart for a politician who wants and needs to inspire public trust." When a book published in 2007 reported that then President Bush wanted to hop on the speaker circuit after his time in office to, quote, "replenish the old coffers," critics reportedly accused him of, quote, "venality, greed, and capitalizing on his presidency in a time of war." President Obama's book profits also made headlines. His jump in household income from $1 million to $4 million was considered, quote, substantial in 2008. Upon leaving office, he and former First Lady Michelle Obama signed a book deal that included a $65 million joint advance. Trump, perhaps in an attempt to distract from the investigations into his own misconduct, called at the time for an investigation into that book deal in 2019. Barack Obama also received criticism from both sides of the aisle for taking a $400,000 Wall Street speaking engagement after leaving office. There are a couple of reasons Trump's profiteering is so different from these past incidents. Historically, former presidents and presidential candidates voluntarily released their tax returns prior to and while serving in office. This gave the public a window into their wealth and clearly showed how their net worth changed after they left office. Trump infamously has refused to release his tax returns, leaving the public in the dark. Second, past presidents and their families largely made money after leaving office, not while they've served. Presidents have routinely divested from business interests when they've taken office. Only Trump maintained ownership of a large international company while serving, although he handed over daily management to his sons. And he has started his second term by not just holding on to, but by growing his business empire, including the publicly traded social media company, crypto venture, and new international developments. Crew maintains this means Trump is very likely violating the Foreign and Domestic Emoluments Clause, key anti-corruption clauses in our founding document, the Constitution, as he did in his first term. The Department of Justice defended his behavior during his administration by arguing for a much narrower interpretation of the clause. The Supreme Court has also declined to hear several cases on the issue. Again, imagine if they would do that if it were a Democratic president. It also means that he is regularly in business with and benefiting from those who may want to influence his decision-making as president, from a fund tied to UAE entering into a lucrative crypto transaction that will benefit him, to a Saudi-backed golf league holding tournaments at his properties, to wealthy investors with clear policy interests buying his meme coin and attending an exclusive dinner with him. And of course, the scale is vastly different from anything this country has ever seen before. Tens of millions of dollars in a book deal is enormous, but billions of dollars in profit is truly staggering, and Trump seems to be just getting started. We cannot get so used to his constant growing corruption that even profits of this gargantuan scale from the presidency stop seeming outrageous. The dizzying amount of scandals and unethical behavior coming from the second Trump administration can make even a $3.4 billion profit feel like a drop of water in the ocean. But this kind of profiteering is changing the conception of what the office of presidency is. No longer a public servant, its current occupant is a salesman focusing on enriching himself and his family. That is and has to be unacceptable, and Americans must continue to speak out against it. And so we shall. Folks, and this is the thing. I normally don't ask for views. Like, I trust that you guys will view the videos that I do based on your interest, based on how good you find the content is. But the only time I ever really ask people to really watch this stuff and share it and circulate it and make other people watch it, as pertains to Trump's corruption. So many other aspects of Trump that we need to focus on and generates a level of attention. But when it comes to Trump's corruption, that's one area where I think our reaction is deficient, right? When Trump deploys the military and the National Guard, we get panicked. When Trump threatens elections, we get panicked. Probably not at the level we should be. But when it comes to Trump's corruption, it's like crickets, because we've all gotten used to it. We can't. That is wrong. It's wrong for me to get used to it. It's wrong for you to get used to it. So this is one of the things, like the $3.4 billion tally. We did a video about that several weeks ago. I need you all to watch this. I need you all to like it, give it the thumbs up, comment, engage with it, and share it. We have to make people give a shit about presidential corruption. It doesn't matter who it is, Trump, Biden, Democrat, Republican. We should condemn it vociferously. And it just so happens to be the case that Donald Trump is objectively, by far, the most corrupt president in American history. That should matter. We should care. So please be sure to share this and bring it to the attention of your loved ones, because I guarantee you, in this economy, they're struggling. People you know and love, maybe you yourself, are struggling, while Donald Trump is raking in the cash. That, if for no other reason, I think you should care no matter what your financial situation is. If you're doing extremely well and the president of the United States is abusing his office to make himself rich, you should care. But if you're not doing well, if your loved ones are not doing well, if you're all struggling in this economy, as many of us are, then this should be even more impactful. Make it known. Voice your discontent. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.